Hello, it is me. We keep switching spaces because we don't have a permanent one right now. So instead we're in a new room. The volume's probably going to be a little different, I'd imagine. Just slightly, who knows. But yeah, you're just going to have to put up with it, alright? Get used to it. Yeah, it's probably going to be a little less, it's going to be more closed in terms of audio, but you better still enjoy it because I'm here talking to you as if nothing has happened and I'm totally not in a completely different environment. But in any case, I am here to tell you a thing that I probably haven't specifically put out there as kind of like a main front title thing that I probably should have a long time ago. Constantly get various questions in terms of, you know, whenever I ask to do a new video, likely the most popular ones, if I'm cycling through old comments or recommendations, it's advice on starting out and stuff like that, which is, you know, very common because D&D is hard to jump into. And it's going to be different for everyone. My starting experience was extremely different to how most people's are going to be because I'm an actor and my entire group of friends that wanted to start D&D were actors. We had a very different experience than most people would, and frankly, I don't know if I could give proper solid advice in that sort of way. What I did want to talk about is something I regret not doing and something that I always try and advise new DMs to do, which is the D&D themselves probably make the best adventures. Apart from, you know, the big theatrical ones on the screen like Dimension 20 or Critical Role or something like that, modules are where it's at. If you want a good consistent story just handed to you on a silver platter and you're new to the game, try module. I always try and recommend that all the time, and there's plenty of reasons which I'm going to be going through today. So reason number one is that obviously it does most of it for you. It has some scripted events and modules tend to be more railroady, but if you're just starting out, I couldn't recommend more that you railroad the hell out of your party so that you can understand what the hell you're doing, but not in a bad way. There's a difference between railroading and progression that I'm going to tell you about, which is railroading is ignoring players' ideas for your own specific one, whereas if you still want a linear game, you've got a set story that you want the players to follow, but you don't stop them from doing their own thing, if you know what I mean. And linear storytelling is generally the way that I advise most people start out, because it's the easiest, most reliable, and I find that unless your players are massive douches, I'll say lightly, they should follow along, I hope. Fingers crossed. But yeah, modules can tend to be like that, and that's absolutely fine. And their stories are super good. I find that all of them are quite intriguing. So some of the series that we've done have some very interesting stories behind them. Curse of Strahd is classic gothic horror vampire type stuff, where you take down the evil Lord Strahd, you know, typical stuff. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is a like crime undercover political sort of thing that slowly progresses into a massive heist for a buttload of money. All of the different stories that are out there are really good, and if you need advice on specific stuff within said modules, we have literally probably like 100 videos about modules or something, so you can go and check them out on various playlists and stuff, and subscribe so that you never miss an upload. But yeah, they have brilliant stories and they're quite well crafted in comparison to what a new DM could offer. If you're a writer or something, maybe you might be able to make a story just as good. So modules can provide you that. But let's say you have a very specific idea and that is why you want to DM. Like you've been a player for a while and then finally want to jump into the DM seat, not just for the sake of DMing, but because you have a very specific vision in mind. Modules are still brilliant to look at. If you want to run a game that is completely outside anything a module can offer you, I can still definitely recommend that you at least check it out for a number of reasons. You can see how adventures tend to be formatted. You can kind of figure out what you might want to pre-plan and what you might not want to by reading through a module and it telling you, this is the stuff that we have ready. Go wild. And there's other things as well. Modules have loads and loads of brilliant ideas that you can steal from. A lot of them have additional stat blocks in the back that you could perhaps use if you scoured through them and stuff like that. And there's plenty of maps that you could also take from them and use their layout and stuff like that. So that even if you're not running anything at all related, you still have plenty of things that you can nick from various modules out there, as well as entire themes, ideas, villains, and stuff like that that you want to put in your own game. And you might think that, no, I want it to be entirely original. Well, then you're wrong, because you're running a D&D game. Nothing of it is going to be original. Nothing. Anything that I ever write comes from something, whether it's from the D&D stat blocks that are out there, or popular media, or something that, even though I feel like I just came up with this on the spot by myself, is definitely influenced by a lot of other things that I've consumed in terms of media. So you're not original. Steal from the books. That's what they're there for. And I really recommend that you do that. And yeah, it's pretty useful, honestly, to comb over them and just take various ideas and stuff like that. So for example, I had wanted to run a pirate campaign. This is a year or two into my DMing career and stuff like that. And I'm like, right, I can kind of figure out the general gist, but I might want some more complex rules and some more interesting encounters. Well, it turns out there's an entire book dedicated to ship rules, ship adventures, and things like that called Ghost of Saltmarsh, which perfectly suited my needs. You'll find that most things out there in terms of modules have different things in terms of their story and setting that you can steal from. Do you want to run a lich big bad evil guy? Look at how Tomb of Annihilation formats it. Do you want some classic heroic tale where the party slays various evil dragons and dragon cults and stuff like that? Read through Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. I wouldn't recommend running them in comparison to some others. I think I've probably talked about what modules I do recommend and what I don't in other videos somewhere else. But even if it's a bad module, look through it. Definitely some great elements and great stuff in every single one. Like, for example, in Horde of the Dragon Queen, despite it being there's some neat moments that I like with it in terms of there is a travel sequence and it goes pretty in depth about who you're traveling with and things that happen with them. I think there's one like character that they're with on the road or something who's abusive to their horse, and that's like a really open thing that can let the party just kind of do whatever they want. If they're good guys, they'll probably try and find a way to stop that. If they're bad guys, they won't care, and if they're neutral, you know, it's up to them. And just tiny little things like that you can take from these modules and put in your own games and stuff like that. And plus settings as well. Icewind Dale has some great rules and encounters and stuff like that that you could use if you're running something in a snowy landscape and stuff like that. If you want jungle, you've got Tomb of Annihilation. Oh, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I think. That's a brand new one that's just came out as of recording this. If you want like a Greek setting, there's an entire book about that. Go read the books, they're there for you. And they have some really cool rules and things that you can nick and stuff like that. So basically, the general summary of this advice is, if you are going to run something, check out the modules unless you're going to be playing in one of said modules. Avoid that one, but read all the other ones. I've read through most of the modules, or at least skimmed through, and I'm always continuing to take ideas from D&D and their amazing crew and stuff like that, because they make good stuff, and therefore I take the stuff and I use it because that's kind of what they're making the stuff for. But yeah, if you at all found this helpful, let me know in the comments or join our Discord. We can talk in either of those places about specific module recommendations to look through so that you aren't wasting your time with something as bad as Horde of the Dragon Queen. But yeah, thank you for watching. See ya.